This is Bruce Friedman of Adult Side Broker, and welcome to Adult Side Broker Talk, where each week we interview one of the movers and shakers of the adult industry, and we give you a tip on buying and selling websites. This week we'll be speaking with Andras Vegh and Stacy Feemster of Talent Testing Service. I'm proud to announce that Adult Side Broker Talk has been nominated for the prestigious AVN Award as Favorite Adult Podcast. My thanks to AVN and those who nominated us, but most of all, you, the listeners. To vote, go to avn.com/awards/voting and choose Favorite Adult Podcast. You can vote daily through January 24th. I'll be in Cali, Colombia for the LAL Expo, April 27th through the 29th. I hope to see many of you there. If you'd like to sit down and discuss business, contact me at adultsidebroker.com. We're proud to announce our latest project, thewaronporn.com. You'll find articles on age verification laws and other attacks on our industry. It's to raise awareness of our industry's plight in the war on porn. You'll find all that and more at thewaronporn.com. Now time for our properties of the week for sale at Adult Side Broker. We have a premium AI companion platform focused on emotional realism and deep memory. Users interact with lifelike companions that remember every detail and respond with real emotion. We have a network of BDSM subreddits. It has over 1.49 million users, over 3.8 million posts, and almost 45,000 comments. There's a porn picture site with both a Web3 and a Web2 domain. The keyword of the domains is one of the most globally recognized and searched terms in the world, porn. We have a buyer who's looking for dating and lifestyle sites in Europe. They would also consider other geos. We're offering a strip chat white label. The average user spends 24 minutes on the site. We have a network of interracial reality hardcore sites. The main site has reality hardcore porn with amateur girls as well as some porn stars. There's a unique platform that bridges the gap between mainstream social link services like Linktree and adult content creators on platforms like OnlyFans. They combine a bio link with the ability to send virtual gifts. We're offering a growing free porn gaming site with adult sex games. The site is owned by one of the top entrepreneurs in our industry. And there's a highly active, organically grown Reddit community centered around the stalking and foot fetish niches. For more information, go to our listings page at adultsitebroker.com. If you have any questions, please contact us on our website. Now time for this week's interview. My guests today on Adult Side Broker Talk are Andras Vegh and Stacy Feemster of Talent Testing Service. Hey guys, thanks for being with us on Adult Side Broker Talk.
Thank you very much for having us.
Hello, nice to meet everybody.
It's a pleasure. TTS was founded in 2007 and is headquartered in Miami. They're a trusted provider of advanced medical and diagnostic testing tailored for the adult industry. With a network of over 400 draw sites across the U.S., Canada, and Mexico, plus branches in LA, Vegas, Florida, Puerto Rico, and Budapest, TTS ensures convenient and timely service for talent, producers, agents, and crew. They offer same-day or next-day turnaround times, secure and free online dashboards, and encrypted verification. Andras is the managing director of TTS Europe. Since spearheading the opening of their state-of-the-art European facility in Budapest in 2021, TTS has offered faster, more efficient turnaround times. Andras manages a team of nurses and a doctor. Stacy is a nurse practitioner and the clinical director at TTS, where she leads efforts in education, detection, and management of STDs in the adult industry. Stacy combines clinical expertise with research oversight, supervising studies that strengthen protocols for infectious disease screening. So, Stacy, as a nurse practitioner, can you share what inspired you to focus on infectious disease testing and sexual health?
Yeah, happy to. So as a teenager, I always volunteered in this space. I started as a volunteer with Planned Parenthood. So in the States, Planned Parenthood, they're kind of an organization that promotes sexual health and family planning. But as a young person, they had a peer educator program. I was, maybe 15 through 18 and going to other classrooms, or sometimes I would be in, even juvenile detention centers. I'd pretty much go anywhere where young people might be interested in this information and just discuss sexual health in a way that they weren't learning in health class. So sexual health and counseling has always just been something I'm really good at and also a passion. And I was fortunate enough to run into talent testing. So it was a perfect fit for my skill set. I've been there, going on 11-ish years now.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, well, I can hear the passion in your voice for sure. Andras, what challenges and opportunities did you face when setting up TTS's European branch in Budapest?
Well, thank you very much for the question, Bruce. I only had challenges and I only had opportunities, so I got a handful from both of them. Well, the biggest opportunity was to work with an American company. Let's call it previous life. I used to work in hotels when I was much, much younger. And I used to live in America, and I really enjoyed the American mentality, the American way of thinking, and the lifestyle. I really enjoyed it. And this opportunity came to work for an American company, so I was really excited to start working together. The biggest challenge was setting up the lab in Budapest, because working with government authorities is always a challenge, and getting all the licenses and all the paperwork in order is never easy. I remember there was a time when we were doing the construction. I was going into the Ministry of Health at least, twice or three times a month to hand them the latest edition or latest version of the plans and where are we standing. And they always said, yes, it's looking good so far, but, we cannot give you an advice. We can only tell you if you're going the right track or the wrong track, but we cannot tell you what to do. So that was a big challenge. But at the end, after 6 months of construction, we got all the permits.
How is it different doing business then in Hungary than it would be in the United States, Andras?
Well, doing business, I'm not entirely sure how it works in America. I guess regulations are super different. The biggest challenge over here is that regulations are really old, from the 60s and 70s.
I live in Thailand, man. I feel you.
I think that is the biggest difference, is that everything is very outdated. And then an example is that when we were setting up the lab itself, the different rooms, the regulation dictated that, for example, for a PCR, we had to have a room for every single step, a separate room with its own water source, and different steps has to have its own room. And I was like, we have a device that does everything. Why we need to have 3 separate rooms? And they said, oh, no. This is what the regulations say. This is what the auditors were looking for. So you have to do it. End of story.
Yeah. Like I said, like Thailand, the rules are the rules are the rules are the rules. And it sounds like in Hungary, they learn in school very similar to the way they do in Thailand. You don't question the rules.
Not really. No, because you really don't want to cross or upset any government official, and that's always unhealthy.
Well, yeah, I bet. But it's funny, in America, you're taught as a kid to question everything. So that's how the cultures are different from the old world to the new world. Kind of interesting. So how do STI trends in the adult industry compare with those in the general population? I'll let both of you address this. Stacy, you want to start?
Yeah, I certainly have something to say about this. So the interesting thing about the adult film industry, this is a population who interacts with themselves. So we are sharing bacteria strains amongst the same group. that can be challenging when we're dealing with difficult to treat strains or any kind of antibiotic resistance amongst a particular chlamydia strain, for example. And it can spread quickly, especially in situations where we have large group gatherings or large group scenes, which is also common.
Like gangbangs, yeah.
Yeah. No, on the flip side,
You didn't want to say it, but I did.
Well, even just, I've heard you mention avian flu, that people, or someone mentioned it on the show. It's a real thing. We get all these groups together and we share germs. We kiss on the cheek. We kiss on the mouth. Like, we're a very friendly bunch within this space. And sexually transmitted infections, same thing. On the flip side, when these strains get out, we're doing testing way more frequently. Like, the frequency of testing is a lot more than the average population. So we can catch these things earlier. And I guess that is a positive thing.
No, the producers require that people be tested on a regular basis. I think it's like every 2 weeks, isn't it?
I mean, there are some performers I know who test every 7 days and won't work with anybody who hasn't tested within 7 days. It's certainly not a blanket rule, but 14 days is common and 7 days is becoming more common.
Really? That's awesome.
I think it's great. I certainly, there was a time when 30 days was the standard, and I think that's faded away. Certainly over the course of my time here, that's definitely not the standard anymore.
Awesome. Andras?
Yeah, well, 30 days, unfortunately, is still a standard in some of the countries, but I hope that we can help improve that. For me, what I see over here is that because we work industry and people outside from the industry, and what I see is that we only receive people from the, let's call them the regular or civilian population, is when they have an issue. Nobody ever comes just, out of curiosity. If they have a symptom, they have an issue, they come to us, and they come to us because we are much faster than any other privately owned lab or any government lab. So because they want to have, results, instantly as fast as possible. So that's why they come. I think this is the biggest difference, is that on the industry side, they come because they have to, otherwise they cannot work, they cannot make the living. The other side comes because they have an issue.
Sure. So what are the most common STIs you see in routine testing, and how often do you detect asymptomatic infections? Stacy?
So I don't know about Europe. MGen, by far, Mycoplasma genitalium would be the technical name. We'll shorten it to MGen. MGen by far is the most common infection we see in the States.
What is that?
Good question. MGen is a bacterial infection. It's transmitted in the same ways that chlamydia or gonorrhea are transmitted. So through exchange of, let's say, sexual secretions.
Bodily fluids, sure.
Yeah, certain bodily fluids, not tears. But you could get creative. It's our most common infection. And there was a point in time where we didn't even test for MGen. But the community started demanding it, and we delivered. And in Europe, I don't know. Andras?
In Europe over here, the two most common is chlamydia, gonorrhea, which is hand in hand, and then mycoplasma comes second or third. They are the most common. And people don't really know what MGen is. They never heard of it, and we need to explain them what it is, and they have to take it seriously, and there are some challenges. I'm not sure if you want to talk about it, but there were some challenges with mycoplasma that I think now the performers started to learn, and now we have less and less trouble.
Mm-hmm.
I'll talk a little bit about the challenges just because it's something I
can also talk about it. No problem.
we both have our own challenges. I'm sure. And we've even sometimes we have to educate governing bodies on this issue. But because we recently started testing for it, I guess there was a little bit of resistance to it. People didn't understand the need for it. Or, maybe they were just a little hesitant and maybe just not as familiar with it. But we were finding when we first started testing, we did it as kind of a pilot program almost, or it came to us through research studies, and we found that a lot of performers were testing positive. At one point, we were testing at a 30% positivity rate, which is extraordinary. I mean, if we had a 30% chlamydia, well, we would never get that high. We would alert the sources right away if we were up at 30% of anything.
There'd be production halts for sure.
Oh, absolutely. We've done production holds for a lot less. So we realized this, and we just kind of realized we have to do something. So we told FSC Pass, we made an announcement through our social media. And not only that, Sixto Pacheco, he's the founder of Talent Testing, owner and founder. And he said, you know what, forget it. I don't care what anybody else wants to do. What we're going to do, because it's the right thing to do, is we're going to offer the test for free. So if anybody's hesitant about the cost, we understand. It's something new. Maybe they're not certain of why they're doing this. But hey, if we're offering it for free, why not? So we did that. And within, it was several months. But over several months' time, we were down to under 5%. Epidemiologically, that is amazing. Testing works. Getting treated, obviously, it works. I think people sometimes feel that MGen, because for a lot of people, it is asymptomatic. They do not have symptoms. So what's the point in testing? But for the percentage of people who do have symptoms and experience anything from infertility to just, your standard symptoms such as discharge, bleeding, pain with sex, pelvic inflammatory disease, which is a big one. For those people, I think that this is a huge win, because if 30% of your peers that you were having sex with had an infection that was going to cause you harm, it would be scary to go out there and have sex at all.
Yeah, everybody's going to have it in a very short period of time if people are in the middle of productions and have this virus. The second part of the question was, how often do you detect asymptomatic infections?
Well, it's interesting. Like Andras said, we have patients who are testing with us because they are intending to work. Those patients generally don't have symptoms. They would, if they had symptoms, they probably wouldn't be signing up for working in the industry. They'd maybe hold off until they resolve the issue. Then we also have a patient population of civilians and just friends and family who test, and they may come to us because they do have something going on. But within the adult performer community, I'd say the overwhelming majority are asymptomatic, have no symptoms at all. They don't know. They're very surprised to hear from us when we tell them they have a positive result.
Yeah, this is exactly what I wanted to say, is that when we inform them that, sorry, you had this and that positive, they said, oh, how is it possible? I have no symptoms. I had it in the past. I had a symptom, and I said, I'm sorry, but this is the reality. This is what the instrument is telling you, or telling us.
Yep. How has the perception of regular STI testing evolved among performers over the past decade? You talked a little bit about the amount of time between tests, but how else has it evolved? Andras?
I think Stacy has more insight to that, because I'm only doing this in the past 5 years. But what I can see is that like, for example, mycoplasma is added recently, so there is constant change and grow, and luckily the industry also involves, and they wanted to make sure that everybody is more safe, and they introduce these more tests into the panel to make sure that everybody is as healthy and as safe as possible. But how it evolved, I think Stacy has more answers to that.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, as a whole, this community certainly advocates for testing, and even more so over the past decade. Other evolution I've seen is people want to see a verifiable test result, such as our Clear ID that we've created. This is something that we have through your phone, basically. You would show up on set and show someone your Clear ID on your phone, which they can take their phone, scan a QR code, and in real time verify your status. So no more fake lab reports. That has basically done away with that.
Was that a problem before?
100% problem. Not 100% as in it is happening 100% of the time, but certainly it's something that people thought they could get away with. It's a horrible thing to do. If somebody is not, very savvy and can't see that, maybe there's a change in font, or, the obvious, if they've never seen a talent testing report, maybe they wouldn't know what to look for. But we've had cases of fake reports. And honestly, we encourage anybody who encounters someone trying to falsify reports to let us know. We give a free test in exchange for that. They just have to, send us some evidence. We do take it very seriously. It's a very dangerous thing to do.
It is serious.
It's super serious. And the type of person who would falsify a result, generally speaking, I guess they think they're being clever, but they probably, just like I said, a lot of people don't have symptoms. So that person probably isn't testing. And how do they even know if they have infection or not? Because they may not have symptoms.
It's very irresponsible.
Yeah, they're at a higher risk category than anybody else.
Yes,
Yeah.
Absolutely. I never heard of anything like that before, but that almost makes me shiver, when I think about that.
Sorry, even with all these safeguards in place, people still try to be smart and fake the tests. And as soon as we receive the information, we do our investigation and we action it. It's not a game.
Oh, no, it's serious stuff.
What's further is we will report it to FSC Pass. That is one thing that, it's important to let the community know. We'll report that this person is banned from using our services. So we don't necessarily get into all the details, but we share this information because it's in the interest of public health.
Oh, big time. Public health and also industry health, which are one and the same. Why do we need a throat swab or rectal swab? Doesn't the infection show up in the urine test?
Yes, it can show up in the urine test, but what if it didn't? So there may be people who have an infection in only their throat, only their rectal area. The bacteria, chlamydia, gonorrhea, it can live in the throat, the vagina, the urethra, the rectum. Also, people don't realize you can get an infection in your eyes. So be careful with that one. We don't test the eyes. That's usually a pretty obvious one.
With like cum shots and stuff. Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, that's one to be careful of. I do sometimes see eye infection in the office, and pretty serious. That is certainly that is out of my scope. I send them to the doctor or the hospital.
Yeah, anything with the eyes. My goodness.
Yeah, it's often the case that patients might test positive on one of these tests, but not in the other area. And that doesn't mean that they weren't exposed, but just because you're exposed to an infection doesn't mean that you're going to get an infection in that area. Also, maybe you just haven't tested positive yet. So maybe the throat tests positive before one of the other areas. And, with the frequency that we're doing testing, sometimes every 7 or 14 days, you might catch it in one area first before you catch it in the other areas. So that's why we test all 3 areas.
Okay. So TTS is known for encrypted authentication of results. Try saying that 3 times. Why is this important for performer trust and industry transparency? Andras, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing here is the trust that the results that they have in hand is real. It's safe. Also, we have our website where every performer has their own profile, which is locked behind their own username and password. And the other thing which is very handy and useful is that when they log in, they can backtrack their results, basically from day one, and they can share this information. And if they go to the production, they just have to open up their phone and show the results there. And if somebody, and that's the safest way, other than because the other option would be just hand out a printout or a piece of paper, or what they do sometimes just they send a screenshot of their phone. And sometimes I receive messages from producers, directors asking that, can you please verify or confirm that this test is real or not, because something looks fishy here. So having these tools is helping keeping the industry more clean and clear.
Yeah. Keeps the industry healthy. There's no 2 ways about it. So walk us through how results move from the lab to the talent and then to producers or agents while ensuring privacy. Stacy, you want to grab that one? Or
Yeah, it's similar for Andras as well. But basically, the talent would receive an email or text message informing them to check their online dashboard, where they can see their status and download their lab report. They can share this with whomever. So that would be scene partners, agents, producers. And within our system, verified by us, verified agents and producers can search for a talent and check their results, so long as that talent has granted access to that person or to that entity. This doesn't apply to positive results, just to be clear. Positive results are only available for the patient to view and for, the clinical staff.
Sure. Well, that goes, I guess, back to like HIPAA laws, right?
Yeah, just general patient privacy. Even before HIPAA was a thing, we kind of did it this way.
Okay, very good. What new testing technologies or protocols are you most excited about?
Well, if I can take that, we have an instrument here in the lab which helps us in the preparation of the samples. Just to give you an idea, if I wanted to, I cannot just introduce a regular sample taken directly from a human into the instruments. There needs to be there's a very strict preparation and a protocol that needs to be, be followed very, very carefully, because this, and we talk about, adding 1 microliter of fluid to here, shake it this way, centrifuge it that way. It's very, very complicated and very time consuming. But we have an instrument which makes a 2-hour preparation period down to 6 minutes. And that's huge help, first of all, to the staff, but second of all, makes our turnaround time much, much faster. And this means that we can start our daily test run a little bit later. We can open up our window of accepting talents bigger, longer, so they have a longer time period to come to us for sample collection, and we can release the results much faster than without this instrument. So this is a very exciting one. And automation is another key thing. Devices are coming out which is faster, more precise, more automated. That's the big thing. The least amount of human interaction is very important, because then less and less errors can be done.
I'm sure it gets costs down too.
Exactly. That's also another thing. But for us, the safety of our patient is very, very important. And also, the instruments can be linked directly into our system, which handles all the data and all the information. So there's another human element is taking out from the equation.
That's awesome. Stacy, anything you're particularly excited about?
Well, we are expanding to the civilian population in a major way, which is exciting. We have several swingers groups that we have partnered up with. And recently, we partnered up with Bliss Cruise. And so that's coming up in the next couple of weeks. We're excited to hang out with those folks. They're going to be, we're doing a pilot program with them come November. Yeah, so that should be interesting, and to see how that plays out and how they receive the testing. We're bringing the testing service to them, so that's kind of exciting for them. Also, vaginal swabs. We've always had our gold panel, which included urine tests for both females and males, and we're going to be rolling out vaginal swabs as an option. If you're coming to one of our main headquarters, one of our main headquarters in the States, vaginal swabs is an option, but it wasn't available at all of our associated draw facilities. So that's rolling out slowly for females who would like to, who have a vagina, who would like to do the vaginal swab, which a lot of females are excited about that, because if you're testing frequently, that's one way to catch an infection quickly. However, if you're testing right at the source where the infection may reside, originally, if you're having vaginal sex, that's where you're going to be infected first, generally speaking. So yeah, we may be able to detect infections even more quickly if we're doing the vaginal swab.
That's completely awesome. Andras, how does TTS ensure consistency and reliability across branches in the US, Europe, and beyond?
So what we try to do is that we try to standardize our services, as you mentioned, across the board. It doesn't matter if you test in America or in Europe. We use the same exact system. We use the same exact reservation system, for example. You can make a booking from America to Europe and vice versa. It's been working very well, because there's quite a few of our talents who's been traveling back and forth between continents, Europe and America. So it's very, very helpful for them as well. And having the same brand makes the producers and the productions are much more comfortable than, having someone unknown service provider that might, some of the results might not be even in English. vaccine Greek results, and the producer sent it to me. Hey, can you help me with this, because I have no idea what it says. The Greek alphabet.
It's all Greek to me.
Yeah, exactly. and I told him, listen, I speak as much Greek as you, but I can help you out here. So I think this is the biggest advantage, having the same level of service on both sides of the pond.
That's awesome. What challenges do performers in different regions face in accessing timely and reliable STI testing? Stacy, do you want to start?
Well, I guess fortunately for us, our turnaround times are quite short. So this isn't a major problem for us. Most of our labs in the States are running at night, and our Miami lab is running day and night.
I think I can reply this question better because the state is fortunate enough to have talent testing in more than 20 years. So they covered the entire continent very well. Here in Europe, it's a little bit more different because every country has its own way of doing things, and this is something that I like to change and bring in the standard of talent testing, because we promise 24-hour turnaround time. So if you get collected on Monday, you got the results the next day. That's if you're not testing within Budapest. If you come to Budapest, you got the results the same day. We offer a express service, which means that if you come in the morning, before 10 o'clock, you get the results early afternoon around 1-2 o'clock. But I receive countless feedback or complaint from performers that say that, why don't you come to my country, because I have to wait 3 days, it costs me a fortune, or even longer if I go to a government facility. It takes a couple of weeks to get the results and stuff like that. So there is definitely room to improve in Europe, and then I like to do that. That's my big goal. Be able to offer our service to all the performers out there who might not be able to travel to Budapest or one of our locations.
Sure. And I mean, obviously Prague would be a great one.
Prague is a great one. Prague, we have a collection point in Prague, which is growing nicely. Prague is in a fortunate situation because they have a local service which offers a quick turnaround time. They offer a service, the results to be ready the same day. The disadvantage they have is that they don't have the QR code that we offer. They don't have personal account that we offer. So their safety level is much lower than us. And luckily, the local performers and agencies and producers are starting to realize that our service, it offers more and actually costs a little bit less. The only drawback is the turnaround time, which is a little bit longer, but they can work with that because we are able to reliably deliver the results in time.
Okay. So how do cultural attitudes towards sexual health affect the acceptance and use of testing services? Stacy, you want to tackle that one?
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot of ways that the adult world has influenced culture, and promoting sexual health is a really important one. And they don't get enough credit for that. There's a lot less stigma around the subject now, I feel. And I think that's fantastic. That's a very positive way that the adult film industry has influenced our culture today.
Again, I have to step in here because unfortunately that's not the case over here, because here every country has its own culture and own way of thinking. For example, if you stick to Prague is much more open-minded than Budapest, for example. Like a performer friend told me that you will never see a person or a performer in Budapest having a Pornhub or whatever hat or T-shirt on, but in Prague they wear it proudly, and nobody's going to point a finger. Nobody cares.
Prague's great. We go every year.
Prague is good from that point of view. But for example, like we just recently started our operations in the UK, and that also brought its own, not challenges, but their own differences. And it's very interesting to see how we can adapt our services in the way that it's acceptable to the local population that they are used to.
Yeah. So, Andras, do you plan to expand service in Europe And how can the community help with this effort?
Absolutely. So the goal is to be every single country in Europe talent testing. I want to be present in every single country so everybody in the adult industry has access to our services. The biggest help would be, first of all, if they can reach out to me directly. That would be fantastic. And all my information is on our website, talenttestingservice.com or .hu. And they can reach out to me directly. They can let me know if there's a demand in their country, if they can help me identify what cities or what are the hub areas that I should look into or start my research. If they could help me, maybe a facility or a clinic that might be interested to do a partnership to act as a collection point for us, that would be very helpful, because what I do is just, I start reaching out to different companies and see who's interested. So that would be very, very helpful. I'm actually talking with a few performers from the Netherlands, for example, or Poland, who wants us to be, present. So yeah, it's already ongoing.
Good to hear. So beyond testing, I'll give this one to Stacy. What role should TTS and other organizations play in educating performers about STI prevention?
Well, I always remind people that we're not the porn police, and we don't try to take on any roles governing this industry. We encourage open and honest communication with partners, just to ensure that people are able to give informed consent before they proceed with sex. So for example, if my test is cleared, but I know for sure that I've been exposed to an infection, or maybe I'm recently having symptoms, then I have to be responsible and I need to cancel my scenes or inform people I'm working with, and I should get retested. So our role is not so much to govern anything, but we're more there to provide education. Of course, we're seeing our patients frequently, so we have a relationship with people. So we can give some guidance, maybe as just almost as peer educators, but not so much in any kind of authoritative capacity.
Mm-hmm. Great. How do you address myths or misinformation about STIs that circulate in the adult industry?
I could take it, and Andras probably has a spin on this as well.
Yeah, you go ahead.
So we do have a really good relationship with our talents, and we do listen. We see them frequently. We have a friendly, amicable relationship with most of the people that come into our local offices. And, talents bring us information. Usually when we find out about things, it's directly from a talent. Depending on what the issue is and how serious it is, we have the ability to discuss it with or hold a meeting, a town hall meeting almost, with our producers or agents or our network. We can post on social media accurate portrayal of what's going on. And when it's appropriate, social media post reaches it has a further reach than us just individually calling people. Emails, and we can send out a mass email citing our sources to kind of combat misinformation. But in general, I think rumors are somehow a part of this industry.
It's like high school.
We don't run to the press with everything that we hear, but serious things we do make announcements.
Yeah, I agree 100% what Stacy was saying. For me, a little bit of difference here is that there's a lot of politics involved over here, like industry politics. And we have to be very careful that we cannot take sides. We are Switzerland here. So sometimes we want, but we cannot. So we have to be the outsiders here. But that's true. There's a lot of misinformation, and we try to give as much information as possible, and then comfort the people as much as possible and help them. Luckily, I have a wide variety of connections, and I have a big network. So if somebody comes to us and say that, can you, maybe help me with this or that, and from a health point of view, I'm more than happy to help them, to, direct them to the right way, to a reliable source or a reliable doctor, for example.
Sure. Stacy, how do you reassure performers that testing isn't just a requirement, but also a way to protect their careers and their personal lives?
That's an easy sell. Most performers are completely on board with testing. And if you're a sex worker, then your sexual health is directly tied to your income. So it's kind of obvious why you must protect it. That's not challenging at all. It's implied.
Yeah, I would think so. So, Andras, when there's a potential STI outbreak in the industry, let's get into the behind-the-scenes process at TTS for containing and managing it quickly.
Yeah, so if we have so first of all, we have a very strict policy and protocol in place to make sure that anything that comes out from us regarding results is as accurate as possibly can. So if necessary, we do multiple retests. We call back talents to take fresh samples from them and stuff like that to make sure that the results that we hand out are accurate. When it comes to when there's a positive or serious positive case in an HIV or a syphilis, for example, that we can confirm that affected a lot of people, we always call together a group meeting with the biggest producers, agents, like basically the core of the industry, and tell them, hey, this is what's going on, this is what happens, what shall we do? Shall we call a production stop to make sure that everybody who's involved can get tested? And this happened in the past since I'm around. And we had an industry shutdown. We had a syphilis case, if I'm not mistaken. And for example, we offered free syphilis tests for everybody because we don't want to make money out of this. We want to make sure that everybody is as safe as possible.
Yes, absolutely. So many productions rely on fast results. So, Stacy, how do you balance speed with accuracy when delivering same day or next day results?
Well, I mean, we're using top of the line equipment, as Andras had mentioned with some of the machines he's dealing with. We have an awesome team as well with lots of experience. Many of our lab techs are veterans, and much of our manager staff has been here a long time, like me, 10 years plus. So we work efficiently, but also our lab, the testing we're doing during business hours and after business hours, so we're providing this fast turnaround. So all these factors combined help us basically beat whatever lab industry standard there was. We're excelling beyond that.
That's awesome. Well, Stacy and Andras, I'd like to thank you for being with us today on Adult Side Broker Talk, and I hope we'll get a chance to do this again soon.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, Bruce. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for having us. It was great.
It was awesome.
My broker tip today is part 6 of what to do to make your site more valuable for when you decide to sell it later. Last week, we talked about eliminating unneeded expenses. Next, you can trademark your website. Having a trademark instantly protects your brand and makes your site more valuable for when it comes time to sell it. Trademarking your site will cost an average of about $1,500, but should be more than worth the investment when it comes time to sell. Show buyers ways you feel the site can make more money in the future. This includes showing them future plans you may have, traffic trends, as well as sales trends. If things are growing and you can show them how to grow them more, they're likely to be willing to pay more for the site. Do something unique with your site. If you have competitors, figure a way to do it better. Be different in some distinguishable way that makes you better. Your members will notice and spend more money with you. Make your site a place that people want to visit, not just to buy things or view porn. Be creative, not just one of many. Keep thinking outside the box and make positive changes to your site. Think like a buyer when planning or updating your site. Don't think like a tech. Think like the consumer. We'll talk about this subject more next week. And next week, we'll be speaking with Mia Lee and Nate Mallory of Floor Play Financial. And that's it for this week's Adult Side Broker Talk. I'd once again like to thank my guests, Andras Vegh and Stacy Feemster of Talent Testing Service. Talk to you again next week on Adult Side Broker Talk. I'm Bruce Friedman.